Hello everybody. Alright, so we're going to be covering the vocabulary for Unit 4, Week 5. This week is poetry. So we'll have 4 main vocabulary words that appear in the poems. And then we'll also talk about 4 poetry terms. Alright, so one word in this week's poems is adventurous. Say that word with me. Adventurous. Someone who is adventurous is willing to risk danger in order to have exciting or unusual experiences. For example, whitewater rafting is an adventurous and exciting activity. What would you like to do that is adventurous? Okay, so let's write adventurous. And then on the opposite side, write the definition, willing to do something scary. Okay, pause the video as you need to complete your cards. Okay, let's go to the next word. Okay, another word in this week's selection is courageous. Say that word with me, courageous. People who are courageous are brave. For example, Maya was courageous at the doctor's office. Describe someone you know who is courageous. Okay, write courageous. And for the definition, just write brave. Okay, the next word in this week's poetry is extremely. Say that word with me, extremely. So, extremely means the same as very. Extremely dry, very dry. For example, some plants can grow in extremely dry places. Tell about a time when you were extremely cold. Okay, so write extremely. And remember that the suffix ly, li, means in a way that is. So in a way that is extreme. For the definition, just write very. Okay, the last of the main vocabulary words that show up in the poetry is weird. Say that word with me, weird. Something that is weird is strange, mysterious, or odd. For example, the Venus flytrap is a weird and strange plant. What is a synonym for weird? Remember, synonym means same as, same meaning as. Alright, weird. For the definition, I want you to write unusual, strange, mysterious, or odd. Okay. All right, so let's go over the poems. Let's look at them, and then we'll go over the poetry terms. All right, so we have a couple poems here. Ginger's Fingers and The Giant. So let's read Ginger's Fingers. Ginger's fingers are shooting stars. They talk of adventurous trips to Mars. Fingers talking without words, signing when sounds can't be heard. Ginger's fingers are ocean waves. They talk of fish in deep-sea caves. Fingers talking without words, signing when sounds can't be heard. Ginger's fingers are butterflies. They talk of a honey gold sunrise. Fingers talking without words, signing when sounds can't be heard. Okay, so there's some examples of rhyme in that poem, such as stars and Mars, words and herd, waves and caves, so on. So write the word rhyme. And rhyme means words that have the same ending sound. Stars, Mars, the same ending sound. and I'm not quite sure why I didn't have that definition written on the book back, but words that have the same ending sound. Okay, all right. All right, let's look at the giant. Dodge, dart, dash, zigzag, slash. I sizzle, sizzle when I dribble. I'm lightning on the court. My team calls me the giant, even though I'm kind of short. The other team might laugh to see a player tiny as a flea, but I'm a rocket, fiery hot. Watch me soar, soar on my jump shot. Stretching, flexing, push, push, push. My ball flies up and in, swoosh, whoosh. I show them all, you don't need tall to rule the ball. Okay, there's some examples of repetition in this poem. Sizzle, sizzle. Soar, soar. Push, push, push. Okay, so what is repetition? It's the use of repeated words. Authors and poets will use repeated words to emphasize certain parts of their works. Okay. All right, let's look at Captain's Log, May 12, 1868. We set sail from a port in Spain, sun high, no sign of rain. The sea was satin, so blue, so blue. Our ship was a bird. We flew, we flew. Just past noon? How very weird. Came a sound that we most feared. Thunder rumbled, a giant drum. Thunder rumbled, rum-tum-tum. Rain was pouring, pouring. The wind was a monster, roaring, roaring. My crew, extremely terrified, froze at their posts, pale and wide-eyed. A huge wave lifted up our ship. My feet began to slip, slip, slip. I knew that it was up to me to guide us through that stormy sea. I grabbed a rope, reached for the mast, and got back to the helm at last. At last. Shook off the rain, looked at my crew. Steady, lads, I'll get us through. The crew heard my call. Each lad stood up tall. All hands now on deck. We trimmed every sail, courageous together. We rode out that gale. Okay. So Captain's Log is an example of what is known as a narrative poem. Okay. And it's basically telling a story, right? The captain's telling the story of a time that he and his crew went through a really bad storm. Okay. So narrative poems tells a story. Okay. The other poems that we read, Ginger's Fingers and The Giant, were what we would call free verse. And basically, free verse poems may or may not rhyme. Okay, so Ginger's Fingers, there was example of rhyme, and here we do have some examples of rhyme, dash and slash, but dribble, court, giant. Dribble doesn't rhyme with anything here, but court and short does. Okay, see and flee. So it doesn't have to rhyme though. Okay, so that's the main emphasis of a free verse poem, is that it doesn't have to rhyme. All right, so that's it for vocabulary for Unit 4, Week 5. So until next week, I will see you soon.